All right, let's get to the A tier. Start with the Buffalo Bills. James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. Atlanta Falcons with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Seattle Seahawks with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. And then the Indianapolis Colts with Jonathan Taylor, Khalil Herbert, DJ Giddens, who they just drafted in the 5th round this year. There's your A tier.
Start with the Buffalo Bills. Dominant quarterback, versatile running ability, game breaker, which means, again, the eye test for the defenders. That's where they're looking. Josh Allen. You couple that with a great offensive line, a great running scheme with Aaron Kromer's the running game coordinator, his scheme going out there every week. You have an opportunity for a running back to showcase great vision and great explosiveness once they make the right decision in terms of vision. I love James Cook. There's a reason he's in a contract dispute because he thinks he's worth X and they're paying him Y, and more power to you, James Cook. Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, both guys that can fill in and get carries as well for this group. The Falcons are so much fun to watch. The ultimate Madden team. You get a really tough runner in Tyler Algier. Love the way he runs the football. Downhill, forward body lean. He'll get hit at 3 and fall forward for 6. You love that kind of running back, especially offensive linemen. They make us look good. They make our C blocks turn into B plus blocks because of their ability to finish. And Bijan Robinson, he's in a category that maybe one other guy is in physically, and his true ability is special. The Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, great running back. Zach Charbonnet, power puncher. I always say, can I get another glass of Charbonnet? It's one of my favorite calls on a Sunday at the top studio whenever we're showing the highlight film, getting ready for a Seahawks game. Love that group. Physical, and I feel like their identity in the running back room matches the defensive coordinator's identity. They're tough. They're going to be here all day. If Kenneth Walker stays healthy, this group will be a lot of fun to watch. And then the Colts, obviously, Jonathan Taylor is an absolute workhorse, the archetype for a running back, just solid. And those of you who are Chicago Bears fans, you've watched a bit of Khalil Herbert. Also, if you're a Bengals fan, you've seen Khalil Herbert. Let's hope Jonathan Taylor's enough to get it done. And you have here in your notes, only 26 years old. That's crazy. Unbelievable, Mike Renner. Jonathan Taylor seems like a 29 guy. He's been doing it for a while now, but 26 years old, good on the Colts. And obviously, if they've got Anthony Richardson back there, another one of those dynamic threats that can exponentially increase the success rate of your running back.
Only 26 years old and will be 26 years old all season long. He turns 27 in January. So, yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Which of these teams, so Bills, Falcons, Seahawks, Colts, which do you think is closest to the S tier and which do you think is closest to the B tier?
I think that it's probably going to be Colts closest to B tier because of the one-trick pony. And I'm going to say
I think that's fair.
Just because I love this 1-2 punch, Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier.
Okay. I would have gone – I think I agree with you on the Colts. I do think it lacks
I guess
you got, like I said, one-trick pony. You got Jonathan Taylor, awesome running back. I just think he himself is not even like a complete running back, right? Like he does some things incredibly well. Not a pass catcher out of the backfield, not going to be a third down guy. Like there's limitations to his game that they don't really have backfilled with that room. It's just they belong here because he is himself such a great runner. I think the Seahawks to me though, Falcons are great. Seahawks to me are the closest to the S tier because not only is their lead dog like an elite back in Kenneth Walker, they have, I'd probably put Zach Charbonnet as the second best number 2 in the league right now. And David Montgomery in Detroit, and we'll get to them when we get to the S tier. He's probably the best. Zach Charbonnet is probably second best to me. I mean, he is incredibly talented. Obviously was a second rounder in his own right. So Kenneth Walker, though, I think it's underrated in these discussions. He is, or was at least last year, behind that disaster of an offensive line, was the single best tackle breaker in the NFL. He broke 61 tackles on 153 attempts. To put that into context, Saquon Barkley broke 62 tackles on 345 attempts. Over twice as many attempts, and they had almost identical broken tackle numbers a year ago.
That's very telling about their offensive line.
And it's one of those things where you look at 3.7 yards per carry, you're like, oh, wasn't good at all. And he does have vision concerns. He is one of those guys who will not always hit holes that are there. He'll try to bounce out. He does those things. He is not a pure, like pure guy who's going to run like a running backs coach would want you to run. But he is so dynamic that it really, you can really, you're going to not care about it too much because his big plays, his ability to create them is so special. I'm very interested to see, though, how this offense runs, because they went from what I would say was the most spread-heavy run attack in the NFL last year to now with Kubiak, seeing what he's done over the course of his career as the OC. They do a lot to tight end. They drafted a fullback in the 5th round, Robbie Hoods. They're going to be 2 tight end, a fullback. They're going to be heavy sets. It's going to be jam-packed. So I'm curious to see just how those guys fare, what it looks like in just a vastly different running scheme that the Seahawks are going to be doing this year. But all these teams are ones where you're featuring your running backs, right? Like they are true weapons. You have running games. All these teams do that can take over at a moment's notice. So that's your A tier. And then the S tier, I didn't even make notes on these guys. They don't need much explanation. It's the Eagles, it's the Ravens, it's the Lions. It's Saquon, it's Henry, and it's Gibbs, Montgomery. I don't even have to talk about the backups for any of those teams besides the Lions. It's just, it. There's a reason why, Saquon went over 2,000. Derrick Henry was close to going over 2,000. And then the Detroit Lions, the most effective non-quarterback aided running game in like recent NFL history.
You know why it's nice to have 2 really good running backs? Because when David Montgomery goes down with a knee in the heat of battle and in the heart of the season, at the end of the stretch run, Jahmyr Gibbs can step up and do both of what he does. And I know that Gibbs is RB1, but with the shared responsibility in that running back room, it's kind of like they're both RB1s and they have different situations that they run in. I love the Lions attack. I love the way they built that franchise, that roster. Brad Holmes has done a friggin' excellent job. And for the Eagles, obviously, same kudos I give to Brad Holmes, I'll give to Howie Roseman for just being a dog and bringing in absolute killers on the offensive line, having a guy like Jeff Stoutland in the building to be able to develop the offensive line talent, and then taking a swing of the bat on a guy like Saquon Barkley, watching Saquon Barkley play in the National Football League is like watching the best running back you could ever imagine playing high school. You remember there was always that one guy that we have in our memory bank who would go for 250 every night. It would make people miss. He would jump over the pile. That's Saquon Barkley in the National Football League. The Eagles have the rare combo of a quarterback who is a threat to run, a running back who is the biggest threat on the field, and an offensive line that's the most dominant unit on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, these teams, and it's crazy because Derrick Henry's over 30. If a lot of these guys have couched him and like, once they hit 30, you're worried. Derrick Henry, I don't think anyone's worried. No. I don't think anyone's predicting any sort of backslide. With the $500,000 he puts into his body every year, with the fact that the guy just like doesn't get injured. And he is, for a bigger back, one of the best I've ever seen at avoiding like big hits. You almost never see big collisions because of the way he runs. He uses that offhand. He uses his length. In fact, he has one of the biggest wingspans you'll ever see at the running back position to basically deflect anything that's going to be a, direct shot on him. So these 3 teams, obviously, they were 3 best running games in the NFL last year. Don't expect that to move too much this year. They are your S tier.